Higgsfield has just launched Cinema Studio, and honestly it's a massive upgrade for generative AI because it gives you full control over the output of your image and video. It's actually like you're becoming Christopher Nolan yourself. Now it works as follows. First you have to upload an image, or you can generate an image from scratch. Then you choose the camera that you like, and then you switch around the different lenses. You can also tweak the focal length, so it gives you full control over the output. It's no longer that you're generating with random prompts. With this, you actually have full control over the cinematic output. So in this video, I will show you everything that you need to know about Cinema Studio. I will go over all the options and all the settings. And if you want to follow along, then make sure to click the link in the description down below. Now to get started with this, while on Higgsfield, you want to go over to Cinema Studio. And over here, you have a few different options. You can switch between image and video. First of all, we're going to start with image. Now in the image section, you have your prompt box, then you have the batch size of how many outputs you want to have, and then you have your resolution. That is all the standard stuff. Next up, you can choose the camera that you like. So for example, you can choose this Red camera, you can choose the Sony camera, you can even choose an IMAX camera. And keep in mind, like, all of these cameras are insanely expensive. Like, I believe this IMAX camera, Christopher Nolan uses this all the time. Like, it's like over 500k. And then you can switch around between the different lenses and the focal length. So if you have no experience at all with cameras, if you have no experience with lenses or focal length and you don't even know what it is, let me just give you a quick rundown of everything. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna put in an image of me. So I have this simple image with a white background, and then we're gonna use the exact same prompt and the exact same lens and the exact same focal length. So for the lens, we're going with the Zeiss Ultra Prime. The focal length, we're gonna keep it at 24mm, and then I will just switch around each camera and I will tell you which one I like the most. So I'm using the following prompt: an ultra realistic street level photo in New York. The subject is crouched around the curb, face lightly dust covered, natural focused use expression, looking off frame, behind people are running to the opposite direction, motion blurred with panic, thick dust in the air. So the first camera that we're testing out is the Red V Raptor. And honestly, this result is really good. It's super sharp and very detailed. And there's not much wrong with this image either. Like, it's insanely good. One thing I want to note and want to point out is that it generates images in 21:9. So you don't have any control over the aspect ratio. All of your images will be in 21:9. The next camera is the Sony Venice. And honestly, there's not much bad to say about this either. It's a pretty sharp result. However, I do like the Red camera a bit more. And then we have IMAX. This is also one of my favorites. It's insanely sharp. It's super detailed. And even like the details on my face look pretty good. Next up, we have the Arri Alexa, and this one is used a lot. Honestly, this gives me like the Hollywood vibes. This is super realistic, insanely sharp, and super detailed as well. After that, we got the Arri Flex, and this looks a lot different. Like, here we have more of a film grain look to it, and it's a bit darker in terms of colors, and this might be good for specific shots. So I would always play around with these settings. Even if you have no experience of cameras, just play around with them. Lastly, we have the Panavision Millennium DXL2. Again, super rich details, good colors. Honestly, you can't really go wrong with any of these. All of them are really good. But if you're not sure which one is the best, I've created this cheat sheet for you where you can go through it and you can see which one I like the most, but also you have some more context about each camera, each lens, and what each focal length will do. Now let's talk a bit about lenses, because there are over 11 different lenses that you can choose from. I think the most important detail you should know is you can choose between a spherical lens and an anamorphic lens, and both of them have their unique features. Let me explain. Now, a spherical lens captures the image normally. There's no distortion going on in these lenses. And an anamorphic lens that squeezes the image horizontally, and then in post-production it de-squeezes it, and then it creates a bit of a cinematic look and sometimes a lens flare or a bit of bokeh. So while choosing these lenses, that's the most important thing you want to go over, because for example, this Panavision has a anamorphic lens and this one is a spherical lens. So each creates different kind of results. Let me just show you what I mean with that. So I have the same image input, I have the same prompt, I have the same camera. I'm only changing around the lenses. So the camera basically sets the base look and the lens adds in the details. Now for the first result, we're going with the Petzval lens. This is a spherical lens, and I'm gonna put this side by side with the input image so you can see the difference. So as you can see, there's a bit of like a vignette and a bit of a swirl around my face. And that is the unique feature of this lens. It gives you that motion blur around it, and it looks honestly quite artistic. Then another lens that I wanted to point out is the Canon K35. Now this gives it a completely different look. As you can see, there's a huge flare from the light. It's a lot brighter and it has a completely different look than the input image. Then we have the JC Extal Express, and this one is really cool. We have a few lens flares in there, but it doesn't look weird. Like sometimes, you know, with those old photoshopped images where you can add in a lens flare yourself, like that doesn't look real. Like here it actually looks pretty realistic. And that is also because it's an anamorphic lens. And lastly, we have the Panavision C series, and I love this one quite a lot. It's an anamorphic lens. It has a bit of a wide cinematic feel to it, and it has classic blue strikes in it. So depending on the type of look you're going for, you can switch around these lenses to perfectly fit your scene. The last thing that is important to know while generating images is your focal length, because choosing an 8mm lens versus a 50mm lens is a massive difference. Let me just show you some of the differences with this. So here I used this input image of me as a boxer, and then I added in the same prompt to every image, and then I only changed around the focal length. So starting off with the 8mm lens, we can see that this is a super wide shot. Like it is even distorted at the edges, and it gives you some pretty interesting close-ups, like this POV style boxing. I really love this scene. Then we have 14mm. Here in this case, it zoomed me out a little bit and it still gives a more of a wide scene. So in this example, you can also see that the cameraman is standing a bit farther away. Then we have the 24mm focal length, and this one adds a slight blur to the background. Still very used. This is used quite a lot. And this is generally speaking a safe bet, but it does add a bit of blur, which in AI world might look a bit fake. And lastly, we have the 50mm lens. Now this adds a lot more bokeh to the background, and this is super good for portraits or also for landscape. This is a very versatile lens that you can use for most of your shots. Now you fully understand how to use each camera, which lens you need to use, and the focal length. If you need a cheat sheet, then join my free community where I will share my own cheat sheet where you can take a look at what each lens and what each camera and focal length does. Now let's switch over to video. So we're gonna go over from image to a video, and in here there are a few new things that I want to share with you. So the main thing is we have movements, and this is not new, but this is super useful. So here we can choose between the static movement, handheld, zoom out, zoom in, like a bunch of different options that you have. Then we can choose the duration of our scene. We can switch audio on or off. Then we do slow motion on or off, and we can choose the batch size. You could also do start and end frame with this. If you do start and end frame, you lose the ability to turn on audio because it's probably using a different model for this. Let me now show you two examples. So here we have an image of me, and then the next image is an image of everything crumbling down. So if I use this as a start frame and then I use the other image as a last frame, then you see we lose the ability to use movement because the start and end frame will naturally add in movement based on your prompting. So we can now add in our prompt, which is he is stunned and the camera whips to the right where the building is collapsing. Now then you can choose the length, either 5 seconds or 10 seconds, and then you hit generate. That will get you a result like this. Honestly, this is probably something like Kling 2.6 where they use start and end frame, or Google VO 3.1. Now let's showcase the different movements of what you can do with this. So starting off, I'm gonna pick out the movement of a zoom in. Then I'm gonna give it my prompt, and then I'm gonna add in my image that I want to animate. So I have an image of me fighting someone, and I want to kick the enemy, sending him out of frame. As he falls, he briefly looks directly into the camera in shock. Camera smoothly zooms in a tight close-up on the battle-worn face. Intense, focused, and cinematic gritty realism. Then we hit generate, and that got me a result like this one. So bam, I kicked that guy in the face, and then we have the zoom in, and it looks super detailed. So yeah, that's how you can do this. Instead of prompting it, you can now use this movement feature. Remember this image that we made? I've now put it as a prompt with the mountain climber is trying to climb and the camera does a handheld. So we have handheld as a preset, and it looks like this. So we have a bit of a natural wobble going on in that video, as like person that's filming this is with his hand moving around, which creates a bit of a shake and looks a bit more natural. Another one that I like a lot is zoom out. This gives you a result like this. This one is also pretty cool. This is orbiting around. As you see, it's like moving around the subject. And lastly, I want to show you dolly out, because this one physically moves the camera backwards to create a wider shot, so it's different from zooming out. So these are all the different ways of how you can be using Cinema Studio for your next project using Higgsfield. I will leave the link for Higgsfield in the description down below, and I will also leave a link for my free community where you could get the cheat sheet so you can have a look at all of the different settings that you can play around with. Click the video that's on the screen right now if you want to learn how to create cinematic ads with AI.